Hi, my name's Starsky and welcome to From the Studio on Clubbing TV. Here I have, hot off the press, fresh in its box, the brand new Moog Labyrinth. And as we've started with the box, let's go to some obligatory unboxing footage. And while that's playing, I'll try and explain exactly what it is. Moog calls this a parallel generative analog synth and describes it as an idea machine to discover patterns, layers, and textures both familiar and unheard. Two generative sequences bring to life that bloom over time, lets you control their evolution and scale, then play them off each other for striking polymetric melodies. With parallel analog signal paths, this unique instrument shines when adding colour to the static backdrop of a drum pattern or bass line. Fully capable of standing on its own or adding depth to your existing rack, it's equally at home in a live set or at the centre of a humble bedroom studio. Labyrinth is the lightning in a bottle that drives a studio session deeper into undiscovered creative caverns. So what on earth does all that mean? Well, luckily you've got me to decode it for you. Essentially what we've got here is a single synth voice that gets manipulated by either this wave folder or the filter or both. And that's the parallel bit. It's analog, that's the analog bit. And down here we've got this unique little sequencer that can generate patterns and melodies based on whatever scales you set it. So that's the generative bit. The dual filter path together with the filter, the wave folder and the sequencer makes this a really genuinely interesting little bit of kit. And you might recognize the format. It's the same as Moog's other 60 HP modules like the DFAM, which I was playing it alongside in the intro track. And there's the Mother 32 and their subharmonica as well. And just like all of those, you can take it out of its enclosure and put it in your Euro rack. But there's no way you'll have any idea about what this does really and what it sounds like until we start having a play. So let's dig in. I've set up here what you might call an initial patch. Nothing's being modulated by anything else. Over here we've got what you'd call a synth voice, I suppose. We've got two oscillators, we've got FM, ring mod, we can change the level of each of the oscillators, and we've got some noise. And this all goes into the wave folder and into the cutoff. Again, that's the two parallel paths. If we listen to just oscillator one on its own, it's a really simple tone. Almost like a sine wave, and oscillator 2 is identical. Well, sounds identical. Well, almost identical, but it's not exactly the same as oscillator 1. This one goes from low, so that's like an LFO. So you can't actually hear anything until you start turning up a bit more. And it only goes up to 1.3 kilohertz. So this is the highest this one will go. Whereas oscillator 1 will go. Also over here we've got ring mod. If we turn that up, that's ring modulation between the two oscillators. Listen to that on its own. So lovely percussive sounds you can get from that, and clashes and clangs. So that's just the ring mod, but by leaving this in audio rates, take the ring mod down, bring the FM up, and listen to VCO1. So there's loads of ways of getting really nice, bright, sparkly, hi-hat noises and clangs, as I say, and all those metallic tones. But that's not the only way to turn these oscillators into something bright and sparkly. We've got this wave folder as well. If I turn everything else down, So now we're just listening to oscillator 1. If I put the wave folder on that, it adds all sorts of harmonics. And that literally works by taking the wave and then folding it in on itself a number of times. Really nice idea. It's a West Coast idea, sort of the more Californian style of synthesis, which is unusual for Moog. But let's take a look now at how we process those in parallel using the wave folder and the filter. And just like that oscillator section, this is really interesting in that we've got a number of ways of processing things. We've got 2 serial modes and a parallel mode. So we can have the wave folder going into the filter, we can have what's going into the filter going into the wave folder, and then we can blend between those 2 mixes here. We've got the wave folder on the left and the VCF on the right. So let's put that through the filter. Let's put the filter going into the wave folder. So we're listening to just what's coming out of the wave folder, but the filter's adjusting it. If we listen to what's coming out of the filter, we can't hear the wave folder doing anything. But if we put this into wave folder into the filter, so really the take home here is that there's lots of ways of modulating things through the wave folder, through the filter, through them both, and in different orders. And as we're talking about the filter, let's just take a quick look at it. And this is unusual for a Moog filter in that it's 12 dB, not 24 dB. So it's a lot smoother. It doesn't have as much resonance. It doesn't go into self-oscillation. So it's a much more gentler affair than you normally get with a Moog. At this point with a normal Moog filter, you'd expect all sorts of screaming and sort of mad acid self-oscillation things happening. You're not getting that here, but it's got a really nice tone to it. And it goes from low pass to band pass. And as you hear, that band pass can go almost into high pass territory. Well, it does sound pretty much high pass when you don't get any of the lows in it. And all that sounds lovely, doesn't it? And that's obviously playing the sequencer. So let's take a quick look at the sequencer as well. As with everything on this, the sequencer is pretty unique. We've got 2 tracks, each of them up to 8 steps. We can change the length of those from 8 down to 1 on both of them. And that's where the polymetric stuff that Moog mentions in their description comes in. You can have 5 steps on one track and 6, 7 or 8 on the other, so the patterns don't repeat themselves. Got 4 playing along the top and 5 along the bottom. So we're getting a much more complex, evolving rhythm, and we can evolve that even more using these corrupt knobs here, and these add randomness to it. So the steps that are playing will change as well. And what I really like about that is that we've got the ring mod and we've got the FM. So when you've got different pictures coming in for the different steps, you get a different tone as the ring mod and the FM change because the notes are changing. And then you can adjust the amount of wave folding and the filter using these as well, using this knob here and this knob there. This one's the sequencer 1 amount, so it's the pitch that you're getting from each of those steps is changing the wave folder, and the same down here, the pitch of these steps is changing the cutoff. And then what you want to do is just disappear into it for hours, generating lovely little percussive things that sound really nice alongside things like the defam or just any drum machine really, just to give you that nice variation on a straight pattern. So what are my final thoughts? Well, like all the other Moog 60 HP modules, I think this shows real ingenuity, considering that it's using like 60-year-old technology really in most of it. Wave folders were designed or built back in the 60s, as were oscillators were designed back in the 60s as well. So were envelopes, so were filters. So we've got all this really old technology, but packaged into something that's designed for the way people use stuff today. And in case you get a bit lost, or just to get you going, it does come with these cards, so we can put different cards on, and it gives you essentially patches. Although of course you can't save patches, it's not what you can do on stuff like this. You can get close once you understand how it all works, but you can see here we've got different modulation routines or patch routines that you can put on there as well. So you can't save patches. If you're looking for presets, look somewhere else. It's not really what Eurorack is known for, is it? But I just think it's a really ingenious little bit of kit, and it just brings something new to something old, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and if you did, don't forget you can catch up whenever you like on our Clubbing TV official YouTube channel on the From the Studio playlist. And if you've got any questions, drop me in the comments and I will see what I can do to answer them. And if you do like this, I also have a much deeper dive of it on my Starsky Car YouTube channel. That's worth checking out as well. And I'll see you in the next episode of From the Studio.